Coming up on the Big Ten's greatest games, we rewind to January 2nd, 1998. 74,000 plus fans packed the stage that was the Orange Bowl in South Florida to see Nebraska battle Tennessee. At stake, a possible national championship. The players, one, a future professional Hall of Fame quarterback who became arguably the best ever to play his position. The other, a future congressman of his home state, whom many would argue was one of the best head coaches of all time. The highly decorated signal caller looking for the storybook ending, the legendary coach looking to punctuate an incredible legacy. Only one would close the final chapter of his story with a win. Stay tuned. The Big Ten's greatest games. The 1998 Orange Bowl. Tennessee versus Nebraska. From January 2nd, 1998. Next.
Very pleasant night here in South Florida. It has not been a great week for these two teams in terms of the weather, but comfortable tonight. 70 degrees at kickoff. As Ed Cunningham mentioned, the wind could be a factor, particularly for the Tennessee passing attack, and they'll be going directly into that 14-mile-per-hour breeze to start the game. As Tom Osborne's Huskers will kick off. Tennessee won the toss, and Philip Fulmer elected to receive. Cedric Wilson is back deep for the opening kick. He's a true freshman from Memphis, Tennessee. Ordinarily, they have Dwayne Goodrich back returning kickoffs. But as it was mentioned before the game from Ed Cunningham, he has an injury. A quad muscle pull. Chris Brown kicks off. The junior from Southlake, Texas, puts his foot to the ball, and the final game of this college football season is underway with a touchback. '60-year-old Tom Osborne in his final game as Nebraska coach. So many memories from the Orange Bowl. In recent years, they've been sweeter memories. Peyton Manning in his final game. He holds every passing record at the University of Tennessee. Huskers spread the field to start the game. Manning checking on the first play from scrimmage. He throws on target, close to a first down. Marcus Nash. There is a flag on the play thrown to the offensive backfield.
Sean, I think we're going to have a holding penalty to start the game with.
Terry McCauley is the referee. It's an Atlantic Coast Conference officiating crew.
Spencer Riley, number 68, the left guard. He was the culprit. He was working against Jason Peter, number 55.
Offensive line of Tennessee had difficulty early in the season, particularly in that loss at Florida. They were manhandled up front. They've been much better since, particularly when they put the true freshman, Kosi Coleman, in the starting lineup at right tackle. And instead of a gain of 8, the ball back on the 8-yard line. First and 22. The quick hitter caught for a short gain. Out across the 12 goes Peerless Price, tackled by Erwin Sweeney. The Tennessee backs and receivers, 3 wideouts to start the game. Jermaine Copeland, Peerless Price, and Marcus Nash. Their leading receiver, Sean Bryson, an excellent pass-catching fullback. And Lewis is the tailback. And up front, from left to right, Clifton Riley, Teague, Hamilton, and Coleman. Teague, an all-conference center. The coaches say the strength of that line, the tackles, Clifton and Coleman. Jamal Lewis out to the 14-yard line. The true freshman, leading freshman rusher in the nation this season, averaging 114 yards per game. Tripped up by Tony Ortiz. great front four on defense for Nebraska. Grant Wistrom won the Lombardi Award. Jason Peter is an All-American. Wilson, Rucker, the rest of the front. The linebackers are Jay Foreman between Tony Ortiz and Octavius McFarland. The leading tackler on the defense is the Rover Mike Brown. Ralph Brown, the right corner. Erwin Sweeney, the true freshman at left corner. And Eric Warfield at free safety. 3rd down and 16. Shovel pass. Sean Bryson to the 20 and tackled by Jay Foreman. 10 yards short of the first down. The holding penalty really hurt.
Well, you really have to wonder, Sean. Tennessee came out, had good protection on the first pass play of the game. The line did protect him. Then all of a sudden, the holding penalty really set him back. Here, they out of the shotgun formation, they run just a little shovel pass underneath. But the speed and the mobility of the Nebraska defense, that's going to be the tough thing on the Tennessee offense tonight. How to counter that speed.
Tennessee had to use a timeout. You saw the punter, Chris Hogue, signaling timeout. They did not have enough men on the field. Sean Bryson came on late. Hogue ready to punt now into that 14-mile-per-hour breeze. It should be excellent field position for Nebraska on its first possession. Hogue, what a kick into the breeze. A boomer. It sends Bobby Newcomb back to the 20. That rolls inside the 5, and it looks like it will stop near the 2. What a kick by Hogue! By far the longest of his career, 78 yards. His previous long was 52, and that 78-yarder is just 4 yards shy of the Orange Bowl record.
Sean, in big games, coaches talk to their teams before coming out about turnovers and field position. That kick by Chris Hogue was dramatic in terms of field position.
He wasn't even the starting punter at the beginning of the year. He was the backup, but the freshman David Leverton had trouble. Scott Frost, hands off. Joel Makovica stopped with very little, perhaps a half yard. Raynoch Thompson led the surge for the Tennessee defense. The Nebraska quarterback is Scott Frost, the senior from Wood River, Nebraska. Started his career at Stanford after 2 seasons there. Transferred back to his home state university, and this year he became the 10th quarterback in Division I-A history to pass and rush for more than 1,000 yards in the same season. Chris McCoy of Navy also accomplished that feat this year. Frost keeps on the option. Out across the 3, and that's all. Torrey Noel, the strong safety, up to make the play on the Nebraska quarterback.
Nebraska backed up here in their own territory, wants the best player on their team with the ball. That's Scott Frost on the option, but the speed of the Tennessee defense, the quickness and mobility of that defense played the play perfectly.
On 3rd and 9, Frost has a man open. It's too high. He was looking for the tight end, Sheldon Jackson. Jonathan Brown applied some pressure on Frost and forced a hasty throw.
Well, one thing Nebraska does not like to do is throw when you expect them to throw. That's exactly what happened here. Scott Frost does not want to be in a throwing game tonight. They want to surprise you with the play-action pass. They hate it when they're behind the down and distance.
Terry Fair has the same injury as Peyton Manning, a bursa sac injury. Back to receive the punt from Jesse Cush. And his first punt is a beauty, but he had the aid of the breeze. Fair bobbled it. Retreated all the way back to the 33. And he is stopped at the 37-yard line. A 56-yard punt by Cush, and the punters are the story here in the first 4 minutes. No score. Tennessee back on offense in a moment.
Both teams remain scoreless early. Who will reach pay dirt first? Stay tuned to find out. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in the action.
with an annihilation of Florida. Some of the Tennessee players believe the reason they're such a big underdog in this game is that people are thinking about that SEC team, Florida, getting hammered 2 years ago by Nebraska. Another flag down. Manning trying to stretch the defense, throws incomplete, looking for Marcus Nash. He was well covered by Ralph Brown, an outstanding cornerback. Consensus first team all Big 12 this season, but we check out the flag at the line.
Sean, the Tennessee team offensively wants to keep
on the defense, lined up in the neutral zone, 5 yards, still first down.
The Tennessee offense wants to keep the threat of a running game on Nebraska all night, but yet they've run 7 offensive plays total, but only 1 run. Jamal Lewis, a great freshman tailback at Tennessee, has got to get into the game. He's got to become a factor.
And the Tennessee offense improved dramatically this season once they did establish the ground game with the emergence of Lewis. Here is Lewis fighting for a couple out to the 43, tackled there by Jason Peter. Lewis rushed for 1,364 yards this season, and you have to remember he started only 9 games. He was not the starting tailback at the beginning of the season. In the first 3 games of the season as a team, Tennessee rushed for 100 yards, just more than 99. Since then, you see what they've done, a dramatic improvement, more than 168 yards per game on the ground.
Well, and it took Lewis a little time to learn pass protection, and in this offense, you have to protect Peyton Manning when you're a running back.
Second down, Lewis trying to get outside. He has a great combination of power and speed, and he's across midfield. Mike Rucker made the tackle. That's a gain of 8.
This is what I was referring to. Tennessee, if they become two-dimensional, if they can run and throw the ball, they can attack the Nebraska defensive team effectively. If they are one-dimensional, they're playing into the hands of what Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator of Nebraska, wants them to do.
Lewis provided the first down of this game for either team. Ball at the 49 of Nebraska. Manning with time as a receiver, first down at the 31-yard line. Andy McCullough tackled by Ralph Brown, the senior from Dayton, on the receiving end of that pass from Manning.
And John, you said it correctly. Manning with time. That is the key. Peyton Manning had plenty of time to get back, get planted, and put that ball on the target. That is what will affect this team as much as anything. Give your great player, Peyton Manning, time to throw.
Derek Edmonds now in at fullback, leading the way for Lewis. Good cut back to the inside, and Jason Peter helped drive him back. Jason Wiltz, the other defensive tackle, also at the bottom of the pile. When we chatted with David Cutcliffe, the offensive coordinator for Tennessee, earlier this week, he meant no disrespect toward this Nebraska defense, but he felt that Florida defense as a group was better, tougher.
Well, there's no question about it. The Tennessee coaches certainly have a lot of respect for this defense, but they're not awed by it. When they played Florida, they played one of the better defenses in the country, a fierce pass rush, really no different than Nebraska in the Tennessee coaches' minds.
5:20 remaining in the first quarter. No score. The fade incomplete. He was looking for David Martin, a true freshman, who the Tennessee coaches think will be a star, but he hasn't played much this year. He's a surprising target in this game, having appeared in just 4 games during the regular season with just 1 reception.
Well, and Tennessee was trying to get a mismatch here physically. Erwin Sweeney for Nebraska is only 6'1". Martin is 6'5" for Tennessee. They liked the matchup they got there. The ball was about 6 inches off target.
Now 3rd down and 7. Neither team has converted on 3rd down tonight. Manning again with plenty of time, and that's caught for a first down. Sean Bryson tackled by Erwin Sweeney. Tennessee at the Nebraska 20, 1st and 10.
Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator at Nebraska, has got to be concerned, not because Peyton Manning is completing some passes. He's a great player. He's going to hit some open receivers, but because Peyton Manning is getting time to throw. Wistrom, the great player, is working against Chad Clifton, 67. Clifton won that particular war.
The pitch to Lewis. Bryson leading the way. Lewis hit hard and fumbled. And Nebraska has recovered. Ralph Brown knocked it out, and Mike Rucker recovered the fumble at the 21-yard line. What a hit by Brown. Then Rucker pounced on the football.
I said earlier that you're always concerned about field position and turnovers. That's what you preach to your team in the locker room before the opening kickoff. Jamal Lewis, a young player, just didn't have the ball put away quite tight enough, and consequently Ralph Brown gets off the block, makes a great tackle, the ball's loose, Nebraska recovers.
Can Nebraska capitalize off the Volunteer turnover? Find out when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
Tennessee showing blitz. They're up near the line. Amon Green out across the 25 to the 26. Well, Philip Fulmer said earlier this week his team cannot afford to make many mistakes against this talented Nebraska bunch, and he watched the first major miscue of the night.
Well, I'm sure Philip felt that they had points on the board there. They were certainly in field goal range as a minimum, and probably touchdown range.
Second and 6, no score. 4:10 remaining in the first quarter. Now one back look from Nebraska. And Green was hit immediately from behind. Excellent penetration by the Volunteers. Buxton, who's been a backup defensive tackle much of this season, forced into action with the season-ending injury to Billy Ratliff, who went out for the year with a knee injury suffered against Southern Miss.
What the Tennessee defense is doing right now is they're penetrating upfield. Whenever you penetrate against an option team or a counter team, which Nebraska runs a lot of counter plays, it's disruptive to the offense. That is what they're doing effectively.
Play action fake to Green. Frost throws, man open, caught, first down Nebraska. Sheldon Jackson across midfield with the first down of the night for the Huskers. A gain of 25.
Sheldon Jackson is the best receiving tight end at Nebraska. He's going to come from this side of the screen, drag across the field. It's a nice counter pass by Nebraska. All of the Tennessee defense flowed one direction. Frost comes away from that flow, finds Sheldon Jackson. Great hand placement and concentration by the big tight end.
Joel Makovica back on the field for Nebraska. He got the carry and got 2 to the 46 of Tennessee, where he ran into Raynoch Thompson.
It's going to be critical to see if Makovica can stay in this game. He's such a wonderful blocker as well as an outstanding runner. Your fullback's got to lead that tailback all night long. And boy, when you lose a guy like that out of your lineup, it affects your running game.
Talking with Joel a couple of days ago, he said lately teams have been keying on him, taking away those inside runs. As a result, his stats haven't been as impressive lately. Whistles before the play. No play.
Boy, and Tennessee is lucky there were whistles. Nebraska came in an unbalanced line and ran an option to the short side of the field. Tennessee wasn't lined up properly. That play might have gone.
Ball start on the offense. 5 yards. Repeat second down.
That play very well might have gone for a Nebraska touchdown. There's only 2 men over here on this side. Everybody else is over here. Tennessee had to adjust, didn't get quite lined up, and the pitch is wide open with a lead blocker. No one else in the defense out here for Tennessee.
Tom Osborne gives the opponent just about every formation, just about every play out of every formation. It's amazing to watch them practice. Here's Frost throwing, on target again. Matt Davison, the true freshman from Tecumseh, Nebraska. Perhaps best known for his diving catch at the end of regulation against Missouri for a touchdown that forced overtime in that game against the Tigers, a game the Huskers went on to win in OT.
Well, Tom Osborne's been in a lot of big games, and he knows when you're playing against a fired-up defensive team that's really penetrating and flying to the ball, counter them. Play-action pass and counter plays, and that's exactly what that was, a play-action counter pass that was effective.
Nebraska starting to get in rhythm after the fumble by Lewis. Frost throws, looking deep. It is caught by Newcomb and bodies out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Tackled by Torrey Noel. 21 yards on the throw by Frost to Newcomb.
This is what makes defending the Nebraska offense so difficult. It's the most effective and difficult offense in the country to stop. It's a play-action pass. They make it look like option, then Frost jumps back. Newcomb runs it inside, post corner route. He runs to the post and then back outside. The ball is thrown where either he catches it or no one catches it.
The option, he had to pitch it. It's Shevin Wiggins inside the 5 and down near the goal line. Gerald Griffin made the tackle that saved the touchdown. Wiggins, a wingback, taking the pitch, and he has Nebraska inside the 2, 1st and goal.
This is a 3-back play where it's the famous option play for Nebraska. Scott Frost takes the hit, but dishes the ball off just beautifully. Scott Frost, half the time, when you watch him play on the option, he doesn't even look where he's pitching the ball. He just flicks it out there, knows his wingman is with him.
Amon Green, short of the goal line. He was stopped by Leonard Little. It will be 2nd and goal with 1.5 minutes remaining in the 1st quarter. And there was a flag on the play. So it remains 1st and goal.
Amon Green here on the power play, fights for heavy yardage, and then all of a sudden fumbles it, tries to sneak it across, but the officials saw it, no touchdown. Sean, it's amazing, just a few seconds ago, Tennessee's defense was in control of the Nebraska offense. But that is what makes it so difficult to defend Tom Osborne's attack. All of a sudden, they have so many weapons, so many formations, and your defense just can't keep track of all of it.
Many of the coaches who've talked about Tom Osborne since he announced his retirement talk about his great skill as a game coach. There's many adjustments. Up and over and in for a touchdown. Amon Green makes it 6-0 Nebraska.
Watch the fullback, Billy Legate, number 40. He takes the place of Macavicka. He's the lead blocker on the play. He's the one that isolated on the linebacker. Right there, number 40. He knocked Leonard Little out of the hole, which enabled Amon Green to score the touchdown.
Chris Brown out of the hole to Ted Retzlaff. And it is 7-0 Nebraska.
Will the Volunteers answer with a score of their own? Stay tuned and find out when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
With very little, perhaps a half yard, Raynoch Thompson led the surge for the Tennessee defense. The Nebraska quarterback is Scott Frost, the senior from Wood River, Nebraska. Started his career at Stanford after 2 seasons there. Transferred back to his home state university, and this year he became the 10th quarterback in Division I-A history to pass and rush for more than 1,000 yards in the same season. Chris McCoy of Navy also accomplished that feat this year. Frost keeps on the option, out across the 3, and that's all. Torrey Noel, the strong safety, up to make the play on the Nebraska quarterback.
Nebraska backed up here in their own territory, wants the best player on their team with the ball. That's Scott Frost on the option, but the speed of the Tennessee defense, the quickness and mobility of that defense played the play perfectly.
On 3rd and 9, Frost Has a man open, it's too high. He was looking for the tight end, Sheldon Jackson. Jonathan Brown applied some pressure on Frost and forced a hasty throw.
Well, one thing Nebraska does not like to do is throw when you expect him to throw. That's exactly what happened here. Scott Frost does not want to be in a throwing game tonight. They want to surprise you with the play-action pass. They hate it when they're behind the down and distance.
Terry Fair has the same injury as Peyton Manning, a bursa sac injury. Back to receive the punt from Jesse Cush. And his first punt is a beauty, but he had the aid of the breeze. Fair bobbled it. Retreated all the way back to the 33. And he is stopped at the 37-yard line. A 56-yard punt by Cush, and the punters are the story here in the first 4 minutes. No score. Tennessee back on offense in a moment.
Both teams remain scoreless early. Who will reach pay dirt first? Stay tuned to find out. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games. The Big Ten Nebraska Greatest Games is presented by Omaha Steaks, the official sponsor of tailgating.
Angie's List is essential. I automatically go there.
At Angie's List, you'll find reviews on everything from home repair to healthcare, written by people just like you.
If you want to save yourself time and avoid a hassle, go to Angie's List.
At Angie's List, you'll find the right person to do the job you need.
And you'll find the right person quickly and easily.
I'm busy. Thank goodness for Angie's List.
From roofers to plumbers to dentists and more, Angie's List. Reviews you can trust.
Oh, Angie? I have her on speed dial.
You made the picks. Now all summer long, the classic football games you selected are on display every Monday night. Don't miss a thrilling Fans' Choice edition of the Big Ten's greatest games. Tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, only on the Big Ten Network.
Car Warriors. All-stars versus small-town heroes in a 72-hour race to build the ultimate ride. Car Warriors. It all begins Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, followed by Car Science, only on Speed.
Due to time constraints, we move ahead in the action.
With an annihilation of Florida, some of the Tennessee players believe the reason they're such a big underdog in this game is that people are thinking about that SEC team, Florida, getting hammered 2 years ago by Nebraska. Another flag down. Manning trying to stretch the defense, throws incomplete, looking for Marcus Nash. He was well covered by Ralph Brown, an outstanding cornerback. Consensus first team all Big 12 this season, but we check out the flag of the line.
Sean, the Tennessee team offensively wants to keep
On the defense, lined up in the neutral zone, 5 yards, still first down.
The Tennessee offense wants to keep the threat of a running game on Nebraska all night, but yet they've run 7 offensive plays total, but only 1 run. Jamal Lewis, a great freshman tailback at Tennessee, has got to get into the game. He's got to become a factor.
And the Tennessee offense improved dramatically this season once they did establish the ground game with the emergence of Lewis. Here is Lewis fighting for a couple out to the 43, tackled there by Jason Peter. Lewis rushed for 1,364 yards this season, and you have to remember he started only 9 games. He was not the starting tailback at the beginning of the season. In the first 3 games of the season as a team, Tennessee rushed for 100 yards, just more than 99. Since then, you see what they've done, a dramatic improvement, more than 168 yards per game on the ground.
Well, and it took Lewis a little time to learn pass protection, and in this offense, you have to protect Peyton Manning when you're a running back.
Second down, Lewis trying to get outside. He has a great combination of power and speed, and he's across midfield. Mike Rucker made the tackle. That's a gain of 8.
This is what I was referring to. Tennessee, if they become two-dimensional, if they can run and throw the ball, they can attack the Nebraska defensive team effectively. If they are one-dimensional, they're playing into the hands of what Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator of Nebraska, wants them to do.
Lewis provided the first down of this game for either team. Ball at the 49 of Nebraska. Manning with time as a receiver. First down at the 31-yard line. Andy McCullough tackled by Ralph Brown, the senior from Dayton, on the receiving end of that pass from Manning.
And Sean, you said it correctly. Manning with time. That is the key. Peyton Manning had plenty of time to get back, get planted, and put that ball on the target. That is what will affect this team as much as anything. Give your great player, Peyton Manning, time to throw.
Derek Edmonds now in at fullback, leading the way for Lewis. Good cut back to the inside, and Jason Peter helped drive him back. Jason Wiltz, the other defensive tackle, also at the bottom of the pile. We chatted with David Cutcliffe, the offensive coordinator for Tennessee, earlier this week. He meant no disrespect toward this Nebraska defense, but he felt that Florida defense as a group was better, tougher.
Well, there's no question about it. The Tennessee coaches certainly have a lot of respect for this defense, but they're not awed by it. When they played Florida, they played one of the better defenses in the country, a fierce pass rush, really no different than Nebraska in the Tennessee coaches' minds.
5:20 remaining in the first quarter. No score. The fade incomplete. He was looking for David Martin, a true freshman, who the Tennessee coaches think will be a star, but he hasn't played much this year. He's a surprising target in this game, having appeared in just 4 games during the regular season with just 1 reception.
Well, and Tennessee was trying to get a mismatch here physically. Erwin Sweeney for Nebraska is only 6'1". Martin is 6'5" for Tennessee. They liked the matchup they got there. The ball was about 6 inches off target.
Now 3rd down and 7. Neither team has converted on 3rd down tonight. Manning again with plenty of time, and that's caught for a first down. Sean Bryson tackled by Erwin Sweeney. Tennessee at the Nebraska 20, 1st and 10.
Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator at Nebraska, has got to be concerned, not because Peyton Manning is completing some passes. He's a great player. He's going to hit some open receivers, but because Peyton Manning is getting time to throw. Wistrom, the great player, is working against Chad Clifton, 67. Clifton won that particular war.
The pitch to Lewis. Bryson leading the way. Lewis hit hard and fumbled. And Nebraska has recovered. Ralph Brown knocked it out, and Mike Rucker recovered the fumble at the 21-yard line. What a hit by Brown. Then Rucker pounced on the football.
I said earlier that you're always concerned about field position and turnovers. That's what you preach to your team in the locker room before the opening kickoff. Jamal Lewis, a young player, just didn't have the ball put away quite tight enough, and consequently Ralph Brown gets off the block, makes a great tackle, the ball's loose, Nebraska recovers.
Can Nebraska capitalize off the volunteer turnover? Find out when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
You never know when all the strength training you do as an athlete will come in handy. Last summer, I saw a man being electrocuted. The machine he was using hit an underground power line. I couldn't touch him because of the live current. He was a really big guy. I grabbed him by his belt loops and pulled him off the machine. He had no pulse, but my friend and I gave him CPR. He started breathing and he survived. I think about that moment all the time, and it motivates me to push myself harder than ever.
Here's one. There's one. They're everywhere. Cars with hazy, dull, oxidized headlights. Now you can't see at night. Replacing them can take hours and cost hundreds of dollars. Don't do it. Save time, money, and more. Get Fast Bright Lens Restore. The Lens Restore kit that brings your headlights back to showroom new in as little as 30 seconds. Just wipe it on and wipe it off. And watch the haze turn to crystal clear. It's that easy.
It was amazing. It was magic.
The secret is Fast Bright Lens Restore's professional formula that removes the outer layer of oxidation. Then it polishes, seals, and protects. Do it yourself in as little as 30 seconds with Fast Bright Lens Restore for just $20. Call right now and we'll cut the price in half. you get the complete Fast Bright Lens Restore Kit for just $10. But to make this the best deal on TV, we'll double the offer. Just pay separate processing and handling. You'll get 2 complete Fast Bright Lens Restore Kits, an amazing $40 value for only $10. Call or click now.
The Big Ten Leaders Division, coming this fall.
Tennessee showing blitz. They're up near the line. Amon Green out across the 25 to the 26. Well, Philip Fulmer said earlier this week his team cannot afford to make many mistakes against this talented Nebraska bunch, and he watched the first major miscue of the night.
Well, I'm sure Philip felt that they had points on the board there. They were certainly in field goal range as a minimum and probably touchdown range.
Second and 6, no score. 4:10 remaining in the first quarter. Now one back look from Nebraska. And Green was hit immediately from behind. Excellent penetration by the Volunteers. Buxton, who's been a backup defensive tackle much of this season, forced into action with the season-ending injury to Billy Ratliff, who went out for the year with a knee injury suffered against Southern Miss.
What the Tennessee defense is doing right now is they're penetrating upfield. Whenever you penetrate against an option team or a counter team, which Nebraska runs a lot of counter plays, it's disruptive to the offense. That is what they're doing effectively.
Play action fake to Green. Frost throws, man open, caught, first down Nebraska. Sheldon Jackson across midfield with the first down of the night for the Huskers. A gain of 25.
Sheldon Jackson is the best receiving tight end at Nebraska. He's going to come from this side of the screen, drag across the field. It's a nice counter pass by Nebraska. All of the Tennessee defense flowed one direction. Frost comes away from that flow, finds Sheldon Jackson. Great hand placement and concentration by the big tight end.
Joel Makovica back on the field for Nebraska. He got the carry and got 2 to the 46 of Tennessee, where he ran into Raynoch Thompson.
It's going to be critical to see if Makovica can stay in this game. He's such a wonderful blocker as well as an outstanding runner. Your fullback's got to lead that tailback all night long. And boy, when you lose a guy like that out of your lineup, it affects your running game.
Talking with Joel a couple of days ago, he said lately teams have been keying on him, taking away those inside runs. As a result, his stats haven't been as impressive lately. Whistles before the play. No play.
Boy, and Tennessee is lucky there were whistles. Nebraska came in an unbalanced line and ran an option to the short side of the field. Tennessee wasn't lined up properly. That play might have gone.
I'll start on the offense. 5 yards. Repeat second down.
That play very well might have gone for a Nebraska touchdown. There's only 2 men over here on this side. Everybody else is over here. Tennessee had to adjust, didn't get quite lined up, and the pitch is wide open with a lead blocker. No one else in the defense out here for Tennessee.
Tom Osborne gives the opponent just about every formation, just about every play out of every formation. It's amazing to watch them practice. Here's Frost throwing, on target again. Matt Davison, the true freshman from Tecumseh, Nebraska. Perhaps best known for his diving catch at the end of regulation against Missouri for a touchdown that forced overtime in that game against the Tigers, a game the Huskers went on to win in OT.
Well, Tom Osborne's been in a lot of big games, and he knows when you're playing against a fired-up defensive team that's really penetrating and flying to the ball, counter them. Play-action pass and counter plays, and that's exactly what that was, a play-action counter pass that was effective.
Nebraska starting to get in rhythm after the fumble by Lewis. Frost throws, looking deep, and is caught by Newcomb and bodies out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Tackled by Torrey Noel. 21 yards on the throw by Frost to Newcomb.
This is what makes defending the Nebraska offense so difficult. It's the most effective and difficult offense in the country to stop. It's a play-action pass. They make it look like option, then Frost jumps back. Newcomb runs it inside, post corner route. He runs to the post and then back outside. The ball is thrown where either he catches it or no one catches it.
The option, he had to pitch it. It's Shevin Wiggins inside the 5 and down near the goal line. Gerald Griffin made the tackle that saved the touchdown. Wiggins, a wingback, taking the pitch, and he has Nebraska inside the 2, 1st and goal.
This is a 3-back play where it's the famous option play for Nebraska. Scott Frost takes the hit but dishes the ball off just beautifully. Scott Frost, half the time when you watch him play on the option, he doesn't even look where he's pitching the ball. He just flicks it out there, knows his wingman is with him.
Amon Green, short of the goal line. He was stopped by Leonard Little. It will be 2nd and goal with 1.5 minutes remaining in the 1st quarter. And there was a flag on the play. So it remains 1st and goal.
Amon Green here on the power play, fights for heavy yardage, and then all of a sudden fumbles it, tries to sneak it across, but the officials saw it, no touchdown. Sean, it's amazing, just a few seconds ago, Tennessee's defense was in control of the Nebraska offense. But that is what makes it so difficult to defend Tom Osborne's attack. All of a sudden, they have so many weapons, so many formations, and your defense just can't keep track of all of it.
Many of the coaches who've talked about Tom Osborne since he announced his retirement talk about his great skill as a game coach. There's many adjustments. Up and over and in for a touchdown. Amon Green makes it 6-0 Nebraska.
Watch the fullback, Billy Legate, number 40. He takes the place of Macafika. He's the lead blocker on the play. He's the one that isolated on the linebacker. Right there, number 40. He knocked Leonard Little out of the hole, which enabled Amon Green to score the touchdown.
Chris Brown out of the hole to Ted Retzlaff. And it is 7-0 Nebraska.
Will the Volunteers answer with a score of their own? Stay tuned and find out when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
Nebraska leads 7-0 with 1:10 left in the 1st quarter. Our overhead shots are from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. Goodyear's blimp fleet will double this year with 3 new blimps arriving in international markets. After the fumble by Jamal Lewis at the 22 of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers went 78 yards. It took 8 plays. And Frost was 3 for 3 on the drive, with Tennessee concentrating on stopping the run. He hurt them with the pass. Chris Brown bounces it down the field. Nice hop for Cedric Wilson, the true freshman. He's in trouble and stopped short of the 20-yard line, knocked down to the 17. Clint Finley in on the stop. Mike Brown also in on the tackle for Nebraska. And again, confusion in the Tennessee huddle. The player running on late. They'll have to hurry to get this play off. Play clock at 3. Mark Levine now the tailback. He's out to the 21, tackled by Tony Ortiz. Levine was the starting tailback at the beginning of the year before Lewis won the job.
You know, you go back, Mark Levine is now in the game for Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis right here with the ball. He has it in the wrong arm. He should have the ball outside, in the outside arm, away from all those defenders. I'm not sure that that necessarily is what caused the fumble, but you always fundamentally put that ball away from the defense.
Antron Peebles, one of 3 tight ends used regularly by Tennessee, being helped off. The junior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Started his career at linebacker, also a defensive end, then moved to tight end in spring practice. Tight end's not a big part of the passing attack. As a matter of fact, UT tight ends have just 3 catches this year.
Mark Levine, the running back, fell into his right knee. It was a good block by Peoples, but all of a sudden he got hit from the behind there.
Levine again, big hole. Mark Levine breaks free. Good move on Warfield, and he's tackled out at the 48-yard line by Carlos Polk, a backup linebacker. Gain of 27 for Levine. And Polk is slow to get up for Nebraska.
Nebraska wants to make sure they eliminate the running game. Tennessee has established early in this game that they are capable of finding some creases in that Nebraska front. So far, Levine found them, so did Jamal Lewis. It's encouraging if you're a Tennessee fan.
Jamal Lewis trotting along the Tennessee sideline, might have been injured on that hit that caused the fumble. Play action fake, a good one by Manning. He throws into coverage, and it's almost intercepted by Mike Brown. He was looking for Marcus Nash, and it was nearly picked off by the sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, Mike Brown is the rover back for Nebraska. He read Peyton Manning's eyes. Peyton Manning was looking where he was throwing. Brown made a great break on the ball, very close to an interception that could have gone the distance had he been able to hang on to it.
Brown was an outstanding two-way player in high school in Arizona. The Arizona High School Player of the Year as a senior. He won the award as the best running back in the state and also the best defensive back. Manning. That pass deflected and intercepted by Eric Warfield. Warfield at the 30 and tackled from behind at the 25-yard line by Sean Bryson. Manning has seen this before. His receivers had a tough time hanging on in the SEC championship game against Auburn, and as a result, the Volunteers just did squeak out a victory.
Well, you have to wonder, Jermaine Copeland, number 6, a wide receiver, he is dragging across the formation, but Peyton Manning throws a hot ball here. This ball is an underneath route, and it needs to be a little bit lower and a little softer. It's a little bit hot. I don't say that Jermaine Copeland shouldn't have caught it, but it wasn't an easy catch.
Third interception of the season for Warfield, the only senior starter in the secondary for Nebraska. He hails from Texarkana, Arkansas. The end of the first quarter, the score: Nebraska 7, Tennessee nothing. We'll return to the FedEx Orange Bowl after this message and a word from your local station.
More first half action from the 1998 Orange Bowl when we return.
Polk, who was injured a couple of plays ago, has his shoulder pads off and is heading to the locker room for Nebraska. He's a backup linebacker. Frost on first down, keeps and gets drilled right at the line of scrimmage. What a first half Raynoch Thompson is having. Let's get more on the condition of Carlos Polk from Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Sean, they took him to the sidelines, as you saw, and he was laying flat the entire time. They think he may have broken his right collarbone, so they're taking him back for x-rays, and we'll have more after that. Back to you.
2nd and 10. 7-0 Nebraska. They capitalized on the first turnover by Tennessee, a fumble, went 78 yards for a score. Now at the interception, they're at the 26. Newcomb in trouble behind the line and thrown for a loss by Jonathan Brown. Antron Peebles heading to the dressing room for Tennessee with his right shoe off.
Jonathan Brown, the left defensive end for Tennessee, plays the reverse play perfectly. It's a little counter play to number 12, Bobby Newcomb, the fastest player at Nebraska. But Jonathan Brown did exactly what his coaches told him to do, play the reverse.
Quarterback draw, Frost. Trying to get outside. 2 flags thrown at the feet of offensive linemen. Raynoch Thompson and Terry Fair made the tackle. And it's against Nebraska. Play would be short of a first down, and it would be 4th down at the 22. Certainly a makeable field goal distance for Chris Brown, one of the best kickers in the country.
Tennessee will have to take the penalty, back him up, and give him another down, but certainly put him out of field goal range, or at least in more difficult range.
On the offense, 10 yards, spotted the foul, repeat 3rd down.
Let's get more on the Tennessee injury situation from Ed Cunningham.
Hey, Sean, the running back Jamal Lewis has a slight sprain in his left ankle. He's going to be able to go back in the game, hopefully run it out. Looks a little bit gimpy on the sidelines. The news is not so good for tight end Antron Peebles. They've taken him in for x-rays. Right now it's severely sprained right ankle. He will not return unless a miracle happens before now and the next time they go on offense.
Nebraska back at the 39-yard line. Frost setting up a screen to Green. Leonard Little pulls him down from behind. Saw the great speed of Little, who's played most of his career lined up outside as a pass rusher. This year he's made the transition to middle linebacker. And no matter where you put him, he's a terrific player.
Leonard Little playing in the middle here, runs underneath the block. He's man-to-man on the tailback. They tried to block him. He ran underneath the block. He used that athleticism of his to track down Amon Green on the screen. Couldn't be played any better by a guy playing man-to-man coverage.
Jesse Cush, the son of a former Husker. His father, Bill, was a defensive back on their 70 and 71 national championship teams. Jesse hangs it up high. Oh, another fumble! And a touchdown for Nebraska. Lance Brown ran it in, but it was a muff punt, so the ball will come back to the 15-yard line. But it's another key mistake by Tennessee. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Terry Fair could not handle the punt.
Sean, right before he dropped this punt, I was about to say what a terrific stop by the Tennessee defense. What a job they did on defense. But the muff punt obviously brings them back into a very difficult position, but they're going to have to rally here. They got to go right back in and say, hey guys, whatever we do, we can't give up a touchdown. Tighten it down and let's play defense and just suck it up and go.
You wonder if Comer will continue with Fair as the punt returner. He's had a tough time hanging on lately. Makovicka breaks tackles. He's inside the 10. Down to the 8-yard line. It'll be 2nd down. Jonathan Brown and Gerald Griffin made the tackle. Tennessee fortunate now to just be down 7-0 with 3 turnovers, but it could be 14 shortly.
Well, you make a good point about Terry Fair. He had a couple fumbles on punt returns in the SEC championship game, and tonight the wind's a factor. There's no question when that ball gets up there, it's difficult to catch and hard to handle. I think you'll see punt catchers on both sides have some difficulty.
Problems with personnel and a flag thrown against Nebraska. Makovicka was trying to run off. They had too many men on the field. Huskers were trying to get a timeout, but instead they're flagged for the illegal substitution. Confusion. He wanted the timeout, but the flag had been thrown. The ball's back at the 13, where it'll be 2nd down and 8. Makovicka still out of the game. The fullback is Billy Legate. Frost pitches to Green. Green dragged down at the 10-yard line by Torrey Noel. They've done a good job bottling up Green, who's rushed for at least 100 yards in each of the last 11 games. The only game this season in which he failed to reach 100 was the opener against Akron, and he had 99 in that one.
Well, so far that Tennessee defense is utilizing what they have the most of, and that's that speed and athleticism. They're able to run laterally down with that option play and chase it down.
Green 2nd in the nation in rushing this year behind Ricky Williams. Frost pitches. Here's Chevin Wiggins again inside the 10. Touchdown!
This is the option play that Nebraska ran at the other end of the field that came up just short of the touchdown. Frost comes, fakes to the fullback, comes outside, and now all of a sudden finds Shevin Wiggins, his wingman, pitches the ball. Tennessee doesn't have enough support in the secondary. He goes into the end zone clean.
Chris Brown, still perfect this year in PATs, 64 for 64. Wiggins the touchdown. Philip Fulmer knows his team cannot keep turning the ball over.
Nebraska holds a commanding 14-0 lead. Can the Volunteers fight their way back into the game? Stay tuned and find out.
By Terry Fair gave Nebraska outstanding field position. It led to the second score of the night for the Huskers. Sean McDonough and Terry Donahue. They were able to overcome the turnover problems against Auburn in the SEC championship game where the balls, but they're playing a tougher team.
Well, it's going to be much more difficult for Tennessee to overcome those mistakes tonight. Already 3 turnovers and 14 points off 2 of the turnovers. And if they continue to do that, it's going to be a long night for Tennessee.
Chris Brown to kick off again. He bounces it. The short kick taken by Brian Darden, a backup running back. And quality field position for the Volunteers as Darden brought it out to the 38-yard line. 14-0 Nebraska. Cornhuskers hoping for a convincing victory to sway voters. Perhaps earn at least a share of the national championship. Voters have been flip-flopping all year. Jamal Lewis back in the game. 2 hands around the ball as he dove to the 43-yard line where he was chopped down by Mike Brown.
You know, it's funny about turnovers. When we talk about turnovers, Tennessee 9 turnovers in the last 6 quarters. Sometimes they just come. You coach the same, you emphasize the same fundamentals, you talk to your players about them, but sometimes they just occur. In this particular turnover, the ball needed to be in the outside arm for sure. Maybe it could have been avoided.
On 2nd and 5, Manning. Flag thrown as Marcus Nash has a first down at the play stands. Erwin Sweeney made the tackle at the 47 of Nebraska. The flag thrown in the secondary.
There's a penalty flag on the play.
Holding against Nebraska. That will likely be refused. Result of the play, a 10-yard gain and a first down. There's Grant Wistrom, concluding a brilliant career at Nebraska. For the 2nd year in a row, he's a first-team All-American in football. He's also a first-team academic All-American.
Penalties decline. First down.
For the 2nd straight year, the only other Nebraska player to have that double-double, Dave Remington. Grant Wistrom is a pre-pharmacy major, very difficult major. He carries a 3.43 grade point average.
Well, he was a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in '96 and '97.
Manning, take the draw, throws, nice catch. His receiver helped him there, Jermaine Copeland, who had the costly deflection that led to the interception earlier. Made a nice sliding catch at the 34-yard line. 13 more for the balls and a first down.
Well, Copeland is in the inside slot position. He's just going to run down the field. If you're a Tennessee fan, the thing that you have to be encouraged about is there are some holes in this Nebraska defense, both throwing and running. What you're discouraged about is you got to hang on to the football if you're going to take advantage of those holes.
Jamal Lewis, the lone back. Marcus Nash, the motion man, lobbed out to Lewis. And he's bounced out of bounds after a short gain. Tony Ortiz put the hit on Lewis. Ortiz from Waterbury, Connecticut. Nebraska has players in the program from 26 different states. He's the state champion in track while he was at Crosby High School in Waterbury. Won the 100 meters in Connecticut, the 110-meter hurdles.
Nebraska has a lot of former track athletes on this team. In the early 1990s, Tom Osborne changed his philosophy and went to recruiting more speed, and they have plenty of speed on this squad.
Lewis down to the 30-yard line. Grant Wistrom and Jay Foreman combined on the stop. Foreman, the son of the former great Minnesota Viking Chuck Foreman. He switched numbers this year to wear the number worn by his dad.
Grant Wistrom here just on a little stunt to the inside, played it very well. He has a school record 58.5 tackles for losses throughout his career at Nebraska.
Big third down, 6 yards to go for a Volunteer first down. Tennessee trails 14-0. Manning throws short of a first down. We'll see where the forward progress is spotted. Mike Brown put the hit on Jermaine Copeland. Looks like the ball will be just inside the 27, meaning they're about 2 full yards short of the first down. So Philip Fulmer sends on the field goal unit.
Peyton Manning had to get rid of that ball a little quicker than he wanted to. There was pressure from Nebraska. He had to unload it. I know he's frustrated about that because he knows how critical that first down was.
Jeff Hall, the junior from Winchester, Tennessee, will try a 44-yard field goal. Benson Scott is the holder. That is right down the middle, and Tennessee is on the board with 8:28 remaining in the first half. Jeff Hall, Tennessee's 4th all-time leading scorer, gives the Vols their first points tonight.
Stay tuned. More action when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in the action.
Nebraska will get the ball first in the second half. Joe Walker among the men back deep for the Cornhuskers. Chevin Wiggins standing alongside. Here's Jeff Hall with the kickoff. And a good boot with the wind. And it'll be down to the back of the end zone by Wiggins. Sean McDonough and Terry Donahue. Obviously the 3 turnovers, Terry, very costly to Tennessee in the first half. But the good news for them, Nebraska had just 69 yards rushing, and Peyton Manning was not sacked.
Well, the Tennessee offensive line has certainly played better than anticipated. Tennessee's throwing the ball very quickly, though, and they only have 100 yards in total passing yardage. But the shocking thing is Tennessee has rushed for as many yards, more yards. They've rushed for 80. Nebraska only 69. They're the #1 rushing team in America.
Nebraska on the ground on the first play of the second half, and Amon Green went out across the 25.
Sean, during the last 2 years that I've watched Tennessee, I've never seen them play as good on defense as they're playing tonight. They are really doing an excellent job against this Nebraska offensive football team.
Fewest yards rushing Nebraska has had in one game this season is 335. No opponent has held them under 335. It was Texas A&M that held them, quote unquote, to 335 in the Big 12 championship. Frost, a late pitch, but right on target. And Amon Green is out of bounds with a first down just across the 30-yard line. Chased out by Gerald Griffin. Here's a look at the first half stats. 3 turnovers, very costly to Tennessee. It led directly to the 14 Nebraska points.
Well, and this is critical right there. And remember, Scott Frost has carried the ball 8 times in the first half for a .4-yard average. He's under a yard per carry, which is just a tremendous job by that defense.
On 1st and 10, Green cuts back and lunges forward off the hit of Corey Gaines. The quarterback comparison, both with an impressive percentage, but as Terry mentioned a moment ago, the yardage totals aren't very high.
No, they really aren't. I think Tennessee in this half will try to put the ball down the field a little further now that they believe they can protect. They proved that in the first half, that they can protect. Peyton Manning, he's on the target tonight. He's on the money. He looks good to me.
5 or 6 hours a day in the training room for Peyton Manning have certainly paid off. His knee is held up well. Makovica rumbling into the secondary. Terry Fair trying to collar him, and finally he did. at the 41-yard line of Tennessee. 24-yard gain for Joel Makovica, the junior from Brainerd, Nebraska.
And Joel Makovica reminds the Nebraska people of Rathburn, the great fullback who played at Nebraska, then the 49ers. It's just a little roll play to the fullback. He finds the seam behind the big offensive line, breaks a tackle, spins out, and then drags Tennessee for the first down. This is a walk-on, a former walk-on, one of the famous Nebraska walk-ons.
From a football family, his brother Jeff was Nebraska's starting fullback in 1995. Frost keeps Raynoch Thompson, who's been in and out of the game with a sprained ankle, wrapped up Frost. But Scott advanced the ball to the 37-yard line. A gain of 4. We mentioned Makovica from a football family. Not only did his brother Jeff play at Nebraska, but their dad John was an NAIA All-American at Kearney State in the late 60s and was inducted into the Nebraska College Football Hall of Fame in the fall of '96. 6.5 yards per rush. Best among all fullbacks in the nation.
Boy, and certainly Nebraska's best blocking fullback. He does so many things for Nebraska.
Nice block by Billy Legate, who took over for Makovica at fullback. He cleared a path for Ramon Green. And Corey Gaines and Gerald Griffin had to take him down to the secondary. First down, Nebraska. The Huskers impressively on the move to begin the second half.
Watch Billy Legate, the fullback, number 40, Sean. You mentioned his block. He's right here. He's going to isolate on the linebacker for Tennessee. This is why tailbacks can cut back. He really makes a tremendous block, which opens that hole.
2 minutes into the second half. 14-3 Nebraska. And one long drive in the first half, a 78-yard touchdown drive. They're marching here. That play goes to the 20 for Ramon Green. Leonard Little and Corey Gaines combining to put the stop on Green.
It seems to me like Tom Osborne and his coaches went in at halftime and said, hey, fellas, we've never had 69 yards rushing at halftime against anybody. We're going to go back out there and control the line of scrimmage and start to establish a running game.
Already more rushing yards on this drive than they had in either of the first 2 quarters of the football game. Second down and 7. Out of the shotgun. They love quarterback draw out of the shotgun. And Frost is very close to a first down. Al Wilson and Leonard Little on the stop.
Philip Fulmer seen there on the sidelines, got to be concerned. You know, you go in at halftime, you're in the ball game, you know your team's made some turnovers, some mistakes that has really hurt you in the ball game. You come out, you want to get off to a good start in the second half, and here Nebraska takes the opening kickoff and is really mounting a powerful drive. And I say power because they've kept it on the ground and they're knocking them off the ball right now, something they were unable to do in the first half.
It is a first down, and historically that's been the case. This Nebraska attack wears out the defense. After a while, it's harder and harder to stand up to the pounding of this relentless rushing attack. From the 13, first and 10. Newcomb. Bobby's down at the 5. He lunged ahead to move the ball toward the 4. He came into Nebraska as a quarterback, an outstanding prospect out of Albuquerque, recruited by most of the top programs in the nation. They moved him to wingback this season, but Frank Solich will be the new head coach after this game. Says he will get a look at Newcomb at quarterback to replace Frost in the spring.
Well, and you can certainly understand that, Sean. He's one of the fastest guys on Nebraska's team. Tom Osborne with a little counterplay there to Bobby Newcomb to take advantage of the fast flow of Tennessee's defense.
Green following Joel Makovica's block. Green has the first down, and it'll be first and goal for the Huskers at the 2. This is the last game for Tom Osborne after 25 years as head coach. There's Frank Solich, 19 years as an assistant to Osborne, former outstanding running back at Nebraska back in the mid-60s. And Solich will take over. Frank Solich actually knew before the season began that this would be Tom Osborne's last year. So Tom told me this was going to be it. But the two of them kept it a secret. 11th play of the drive, and it is stopped at the goal line. Leonard Little put the pop on Ramon Green. Tom Osborne has a number of longtime assistants, but no lack of harmony on the staff. The rest of the staff members knew 6 years ago when Osborne made Solich the assistant head coach that really was Tom's way of designating Solich as the man he'd like to see succeed him.
Well, and Tom said the timing for him to retire was perfect because he could help influence who his successor would be. The university president and athletic director agreed with the decision.
Frost up and over and in for a touchdown. An impressive opening drive. Never mind the passes or the play action fakes. Nebraska goes back to its bread and butter. And they made that look easy.
Well, that offensive line has come out in the second half and reestablished the line of scrimmage. Scott Frost in there by at least a yard and a half behind the big left guard, Aaron Taylor, the center, number 59, Josh Heskew.
Frost might have been shaken up. He's pointing to his left calf. Darwin Walker's going off, grabbing at the back of his neck.
Sean, have you noticed how many Tennessee players have left the game already? One of the difficult things when you play Nebraska, they are so physical and so strong and so deep, they begin to just wear you out.
Chris Brown on for the extra point. And it is good. An 80-yard drive by Nebraska to begin the second half.
With the Volunteers' defense reeling, can the Cornhuskers stymie the Tennessee offense and take full control of the contest? Stay tuned to find out. You're watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
Impressive opening drive to begin the second half by Nebraska. And the lead is 21-3 for the Cornhuskers. Tennessee about to get the ball for the first time. In the second half, Cedric Wilson took Chris Brown's kickoff at the goal line. Nice moves to get across the 20. And now he powers out to the 27. Nice return by Wilson. Let's get an update on the condition of Scott Frost. Here's Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Sean. Well, Scott is suffering cramps in both calves, but more in the left than the right. But he told me he's fine. Quarterback coach Turner Gill came over concerned, asking if they needed ice to rub those calves down. But the training staff said they didn't even need that. Back to you.
On that drive, 12 plays, 80 yards, 74 of them on the ground. And the one pass, which the official score deemed a pass, was that shovel pass. So they had 74 yards rushing on the opening drive of the half after 69 yards rushing the entire first half. Jamal Lewis out to the 29. A gain of 2 for the freshman.
Sean, in visiting with Philip Fulmer this week prior to the game, he said one of the things that we have to do to win this game, we've got to answer when Nebraska scores. Nebraska's really tough when they get ahead by a couple touchdowns because they control the ball on you because they're a ground-oriented game, and so they consequently eat up the clock. Philip says we've got to come back and answer. This is an important drive.
On 2nd and 8, and they show patience with the run, but it yields nothing that time. Mike Rucker and Jason Peter at the bottom of the pile for Nebraska. And it'll be 3rd down and 8.
Nebraska's gone to their nickel package, put their 5th defensive back in the game, expecting pass.
3 wide receivers, no tight end for Tennessee. Manning running out of time. He's sacked by Mike Rucker. The first sack of Manning tonight.
Mike Rucker, the left defensive end, number 84. He runs a little inside stunt move. He's the one that comes underneath, slips on a little crack in the Tennessee line there to sack Peyton Manning. Peyton just never had time to get that arm cocked and get the ball down the field.
Now Chris Hogue with his worst punt of the night. But he did get a good bounce. Hogue averaged 61 yards per punt on 3 punts in the first half. That one wound up going 43. There is a flag down at the 41-yard line. And it's for an illegal block in the back against Nebraska.
Illegal block in the back on the receiving team during the kick. Post-scrimmage kick enforcement. 10 yards from the end of the kick. First down.
Sean, I really think the Nebraska offense is one of the toughest in the country to stop.
Nebraska on offense for the second time in the second half. They stay on the ground. It's Ahman Green with running room again. Out to the 35. Terry, obviously just before the break, you didn't have a chance to finish your thought about the Nebraska offense.
Well, Sean, I was making the point it's such a tough offense to stop because they run 1-back, 2-back, 3-back offense. They have multiple formations, an option game, a power game with their tailback, a trap game with their fullback, a mobile quarterback, and all of a sudden they just stress you on defense until you come apart. And you couple all that with some quality play action passing. It's just hard to defend it.
Green up the middle, and he ran into Raynoch Thompson. Might be having the best game of his career tonight. We've seen him several times, and can't remember Thompson being as much of a factor as he has been in this one. Well, some question Tennessee as a number 3 team. The players all talk about it. They've developed a reputation for not winning the big one, in large part because they haven't been able to defeat Florida during the Peyton Manning era and before that, actually. But I think we're seeing tonight this is a very good Tennessee team. A lot of good athletes who can really run on defense.
No question. They played the Nebraska offense as well in that first half as any defense I've ever seen play against the Nebraska offense. If their own offense hadn't turned it over, I'm not sure Nebraska would have scored in the first half.
Frost pitched it at the last second. Look out! Ahman Green with 1 man to beat. And he could not beat him. Terry Fair made the touchdown-saving tackle at the 21-yard line of Tennessee. A 43-yard pickup for Green.
Scott Frost is the master, the magician with running the option play. He comes down the line of scrimmage here. He gets the ball pitched. Sometimes he never even looks. This time he does. He lays it off perfectly. Makovicka leading the way, and Ahman Green, the speedster, gets a crack in the defense and then just turns it downfield.
He now has 113 yards rushing. Makovicka weaving his way to the right. A gain to the 17. 4-yard pickup. Ron Green and Leonard Little made the tackle. So that's 12 straight games now with 100 yards rushing or more for Ahman Green.
And I think you have to ask yourself, what is the difference in this second half as compared to the first half? Why can Nebraska run the ball all of a sudden now in the second half where they couldn't in the first half? And I think it has to do with that intensity of the offensive line. They seem to have a little skip in their step, if you will, in this second half, where in the first half they didn't seem to. And Tennessee is not penetrating quite as much as they were able to in the first half.
Green up the middle. A lot of tired-looking arm tackles from the defensive front now for Tennessee. Corey Noel had to come up from the secondary to help Corey Terry, the defensive end. And it's close to a first down. Terry McCauley, the referee, says it is a first down just outside the 10. So they could get another first down very close to the goal line. And the double whammy for the Tennessee defense is not only is Nebraska moving and scoring points, but they chew up the clock while they do it.
Well, that's the way they play. They love to run the ball, and they're going to get 80 plays a game, and 68 or 70 of them are going to be runs.
Frost keeps. Frost, touchdown! He might still be cramping up a little bit. You saw him trying to stretch as he went into the end zone.
Scott Frost was certainly silenced in the first half, but has responded in the second half. This is a design quarterback keep. He follows the tailback, Ahman Green. He's the only guy that's supposed to have the ball on this play. He's a great runner. They want him to carry it into the end zone.
Frost had a Nebraska record 19 rushing touchdowns during the regular season. That's the school record for quarterbacks. has 2 tonight. Both count on the stats, and bowl games do not factor in. That run went 11. It's 28-3. The Cornhuskers starting to make a statement. Nebraska has taken control, leading by 25. Still 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Cedric Wilson ran into traffic at the 27-yard line.
Man, kicking them out good for you. Get better, Mom. All right, woo.
First and 10. Tennessee needs to do something, and they need to do it quickly. The pass caught by Marcus Nash, a senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma. With 76 catches coming into tonight, but he's had a quiet night in this one.
Well, he really has, Sean. Tennessee's been unable to get the ball very effectively to Marcus Nash. One of the adjustments Tennessee has just made, they went to the shotgun that time. They've not been in the shotgun very often, but the pressure is starting to mount on Peyton Manning, and they're trying to get him off the line a little bit.
From the 32, 2nd and 6. A lob looking for Nash. He has it. And he's across midfield. Erwin Sweeney made the tackle. They had one-on-one coverage. And Nash has a 20-yard gain on his 4th reception of the night.
Well, this is a great job, Marcus Nash, getting off the bump and run coverage of Erwin Sweeney, the freshman, number 16. And Peyton Manning lays this ball up beautifully. Nash goes up, tremendous concentration. Peyton Manning here under rush. They got him on that knee a little bit.
Jay Foreman hit him after the ball was gone. Jamal Lewis off right tackle, found the hole. He's down at the 41-yard line. Quality gain of 7 on first down for Lewis. There's Jay Foreman, the junior from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, who made the stop. He's had an up-and-down career in Nebraska. Was a starter as a redshirt freshman in '95, and last year he backed up John Hess. Now he's back in the starting lineup as a junior. Second on the team with those 61 tackles. 3.5 minutes remaining, third quarter. Manning throws, caught again by Nash. No, incomplete now, say the officials, and Nash was wide open, with the throw a bit errant.
Well, I think this is what Tennessee has to try and do, is get the ball upfield more. I know early in the game they wanted to hit the short passes, but they need to drive those defensive backs off Marcus Nash. That ball just went right through his hands. Peyton Manning has been plagued all season long with drop passes by his wide receivers.
And I take back what I said about that being an errant throw. Nash slipped, and that might have hurt his chances of catching it. Manning throws short of Jermaine Copeland. Now it's 4th down and 4, and down by 25. I don't think Philip Fulmer has any choice here, Terry, other than to go for it.
Grant Wistrom, the great defensive lineman, the Lombardi Trophy winner, he has been quiet in the first half, but he's starting to turn it up, and he's a guy that just gives you great second effort all the time. He's always working at getting to the quarterback.
Big play here for Tennessee as they cling to hopes of a comeback. 4th and 4, blitz, caught, first down. He had the forward progress beyond the marker as Eric Warfield put the collar on Jermaine Copeland, but it is a first down just inside the 37-yard line.
Jermaine Copeland just ran right down the field, turned around and stopped, and Peyton Manning threw the ball right at him. It's a great throw. He hits him right between the numbers. You can watch him in the slot. He just turned around. The ball's there on time. Copeland gets the first down.
Clock down to 3 minutes and change remaining in the third quarter. Lewis close to another first down. He had one man to beat, and he was gone. Instead, it's a gain of 9. And it'll be 2nd and 1 at the 28-yard line of Nebraska.
Boy, Sean, that was a nice cut by Jamal Lewis, the freshman tailback. He made a couple Cornhuskers miss there. He is a powerful runner. We're looking at a guy I think will be the next Heisman Trophy candidate at the University of Tennessee as he gets a little more experience, a little more maturity.
He has 67 yards rushing tonight on 13 carries. He gets the handoff again, burst through the hole, Ran into his own man, and that might have prevented a touchdown. Instead, he's down at the 5-yard line. Tackled by Eric Johnson, a reserve linebacker. 23 yards on the rush for Lewis, and the Volunteers are on the move.
Well, Jamal Lewis on the isolation play finds a crack in the Nebraska defense. He will go ahead and cut this ball back, and he's going to run in to Jermaine Copeland. Number 6 is right in the way. He makes the tackle, or at least prevents the touchdown for sure.
Hold him down long enough for Johnson to make the stop. First and goal at the 5. Manning looking in the end zone, running out of time, throws, touchdown! Peerless Price with the reception for the Tennessee score. And it appears they will go for 2. You saw Manning holding up the 2 fingers, and the sideline held up 2, looking back at the offense.
Peyton Manning is a quarterback who can throw on the run as well as he works out of the pocket. Tennessee does a good job. They get him away from the pressure of Nebraska by sprinting him out, buying him time enough to find the open receiver.
It's amazing how much better Peyton Manning's knee is in just a couple of days. We watched him practice that play a couple of days ago, and he really hobbled as he rolled to his right. Tonight, no sign of any hit.
Sean, it's amazing. I didn't think he was healthy for the ball game, but he clearly is.
Out of the shotgun, the try for 2. He throws, incomplete. Looking again for Peerless Price. Erwin Sweeney had the coverage. So it's 28-9 with 1:58 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The FedEx Orange Bowl from Miami.
With Tennessee beginning to show some life, will the Cornhuskers respond with a score of their own? Find out when we return on the Big Ten's greatest games.
Back in Miami at Pro Player Stadium. The 2nd year, the home of the FedEx Orange Bowl. And Smokies here for the first time since 1968. That's the last time the Balls were in this game. This is their 4th appearance in the Orange Bowl overall. They're 1-2 coming into this one. Good kickoff by Jeff Hall with the wind, and Chevin Wiggins had to down it. Well, we want to thank Captain Larry Chambers and the entire crew of the Goodyear Stars and Stripes. If you want to learn more about the Goodyear blimp, check it out on the internet, www.goodyear.com, and click on at the controls. Now it is official. Everyone has a website. The Tennessee scoring drive, 9 plays, 72 yards. Jamal Lewis, the main man. And they scored relatively quickly. I thought at this point, Jerry, they might even try an onside kick. I know there's more than a quarter to go, but the way Nebraska is holding on to the ball and eating up the clock, they need plenty more big plays to the Volunteers.
Well, there's no question about it, but Sean, you're scared to death to onside kick, because if you don't get it, you're giving Nebraska such a short field to operate into, and it's hard enough trying to stop them when they have to go 80 yards.
D'Angelo Lloyd, the injured player. He's a true freshman from Charlotte. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, tells us he is an outstanding prospect. He has great speed off the edge. Unfortunately, not as much speed to the sideline as a result of the injury.
Due to time constraints, we move ahead in the action.
Watch Aaron Taylor, number 67, the left guard. He'll come down and crush the Tennessee nose guard. That creates a huge opening in the defense that allows Ahman Green to get through it. The Nebraska offensive line has really come to play in the 2nd half.
The veteran group, they'll lose 6 of their top 7 offensive linemen to graduation, so that'll be the first major challenge for Frank Solich as he takes over as head coach. Joel Makovica banged down to the 25. That's a gain of 8. Nebraska had 69 yards rushing in the first half. They now have 271 for the game.
And the last 2 runs, Sean, have come right behind the center. Josh Heskew, number 59, and Aaron Taylor, 67, the left guard, along with Fred Pollock, 73, They run again to the left.
And Green is close to another first down. He appears to have it at the 22-yard line, under a minute remaining third quarter. Now you start to wonder if it stays this way, if Nebraska builds on the lead, what is happening to minds of pollsters in the AP poll and in the coaches poll. I think Tennessee has proven, despite the score, it's worthy of a very high ranking. They're certainly one of the best teams in the nation, and Nebraska is starting to take firm control, something Michigan never did yesterday. Touchdown, Amon Green. Flag down at the 3-yard line. And it is a touchdown, says Terry McCauley. 22 yards on the run by Green.
This play is successful because Scott Frost is the master at running the option. But what a block by Joel Makaveka, number 45, the fullback. He'll be way out in the corner. Frost comes down, pitches. Watch 45, the lead blocker. He gets the Tennessee man down that allows that crease to open up for Amon Green.
Chris Brown adds another extra point. Makaveka playing courageously with a very sore hamstring, but he told us a couple of days ago there would be nothing that would keep him out of this game.
Well, and he just won't come out of a football game. They say if they do get him out, he'll rest a play or two and he'll want right back onto the field. And I think you have to credit the wide receivers of Nebraska. They're doing a great job downfield. Number 14, Lance Brown. There's just blocks all over the field that allows Amon Green to hit those creases.
.29 seconds remaining in the third quarter. There's Aaron Taylor, the outstanding left guard in his final game in Nebraska.
Sean, what you have to do now if you're Tennessee, Phil Fulmer's got the toughest job on his hands. He's got to get his team over here and he's got to say, hey, listen, fellas, we've got to keep competing. We're playing against a great football team. We've got to show our stuff now in the fourth quarter. We've worked hard. We've had a great season. You look back, Tennessee's been in sudden death ever since they lost the Florida game. Every week's been sudden death for them. Now they've got to sit in there and be competitive and just not get run out of here.
Sudden death because they knew after the one loss to Florida, if they wanted to win the SEC championship, which they said is their main goal, and be in the alliance, which has eluded them in recent years, they needed to win out. So every game had that sense of urgency, and Coach Fulmer's team did run the table to earn him a contract extension announced a couple of days ago through the year 2003 with a hefty pay raise. He'll make about $750,000 per year over the course of that contract.
Oh, it's amazing what's happened to contracts in college football.
Said that as if you might ponder going back.
No.
Darden out to the 30-yard line. 22-yard return. Well, Philip Fulmer doesn't get much attention around the country. And believe it or not, he does have some critics in the state of Tennessee. But all he's done is become the winningest coach of all time by percentage among those with a minimum of 5 years coaching. Phillips in his 6th. And Tom Osborne is number 2.
I think Philip Fulmer is a very underrated, underappreciated at times coach at the University of Tennessee, and primarily because of the Florida series. That's been the series that he's just not been able to get over the hump with.
Just a couple of wins against the Gators. He would be a fully beloved figure in the state of Tennessee. Lewis tackled from behind by Jason Peter. Terrific play by Peter when it looked like Lewis was ready to break away. You wonder if the Vols are going to go without a huddle now. They won't have time, it seems, to get another play off in the third quarter. They do not. The third quarter dominated by Nebraska. Cornhuskers trying to make a statement for the national championship. Tom Osborne and Peyton Manning, each in his final game at his respective university. Manning throws very short out to the 34-yard line, perhaps the 35. A gain of 2. Well, it used to be people would talk in college football about if you rely on the run, you can't score quickly. That's one of the weaknesses. Well, we saw 21 points and a blizzard of rushing yards. Unbelievable performance in that third quarter by Nebraska.
No question about it. What's interesting is why has it happened all of a sudden? And I think one of the reasons Tennessee's not tackling as well this half as they did in the first half.
Nebraska had 227 yards rushing in the third quarter. Jamal Lewis chopped down short of a first down, about a yard short. Brandon Harrison, junior from Gainesville, Texas. Backup quarterback made the tackle. He's in his first year at Nebraska as a junior college transfer. Autumn Mays down 35-9, 14 minutes left. 1 yard to go, they're punting. Bobby Newcomb waiting for the punt from Chris Hogue. Well, they're offside and then some. Grant Wistrom very anxious. Coming around right end. Question is, was he drawn off?
Ball start.
Yes, he was.
On the offense. 5 yards. Look down.
Wistrom said it would be just awful. He couldn't imagine what it would be like if Nebraska did not win Tom Osborne's last game. And his teammates and Grant himself delivering a big performance tonight. So now it's 4th and 6, and Newcomb goes back to the 22-yard line with Shevin Wiggins waiting for the punt from Chris Hogue. Another nose up spiral of beauty again. Shevin Wiggins from the 20, straight up the middle and down to the 28-yard line. 48 yards on the punt by Hogue. Frustration continues for Peyton Manning and Tennessee.
Stay tuned. More action when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
Trying to sense it in the Nebraska section. And in the Tennessee seating areas as well. Make that observation because a lot of the Volunteer fans have left. Jay Sims in at I-back. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Here's Michelle.
Well, guys, Mike Osborne, the oldest of Coach Tom Osborne's 3 kids, is down here on the sidelines with a handheld video camera documenting his father's last game. He told me right now he's just really focused on the game, but if it keeps going like it's going, he's bound to get nostalgic, and he's sure his dad is too, guys.
And as was mentioned before the game, the biggest reason Tom Osborne wanted to step aside now was his family. He admits that his wife Nancy more or less raised their children by herself. She was putting in 17-hour days coaching football. Sheldon Jackson tackled by Corey Gaines. A rare pass here in the second half called by Coach Osborne. And it's another first down for Nebraska.
Sean, most coaches' wives raise the families. Coaches are gone 12, 15, 18-hour days at times. And the wives are called upon to do that. And certainly Tom is no exception when it comes to that.
Well, Mike is hoping he can turn his dad into a golfer. Tom Osborne prefers fishing in his rare free moments. Frost, the keeper, now to the 45. What a turnaround it's been for Scott Frost at Nebraska. He took over for Tommy Frazier, one of the most popular players and successful players in Nebraska history. And they were coming off back-to-back national titles when the team struggled early last year and had lost at Arizona State. Much of the criticism from the Nebraska fans directed at Frost. He was booed, and he bristled at that, spoke out against it. Now he has been embraced, but you get the sense talking to him, he still remembers the boos too.
Well, there's no question. Scott Frost made a poor decision out of high school when he chose Stanford because he didn't fit in the Stanford offense. Stanford's a great school, but he didn't fit there. He wanted to play for Bill Walsh, but he didn't have the kind of throwing arm you needed. He made a great decision when he decided to come back home and get into this offense because he's a dominant player in it.
He was the backup to Steve Stenstrom for 2 years at Stanford, 2 losing seasons. He wanted to go back where he knew he would play on a winning team and be a key member. Frost close to another first down at the Tennessee 37-yard line. Nice blocking by Jeff Lake. The wide receivers really are glorified blockers in this offense.
Boy, they do a tremendous job on the perimeter with those blocks. Scott Frost running the option to perfection. He loves to keep the ball and hit the crease in the defense. The big red machine right now is starting to roll.
What was interesting about Frost's decision to go to Stanford, too, is that he has a lengthy family history at the University of Nebraska. Both parents were athletes at the State University. His dad, Larry, was a football player. His mother, Carol, a track athlete. Mother Carol won the discus in the Pan Am Games in '67, went on to the '68 Olympics.
Now, Scott's a great student as well, and, you know, he talked about wanting to get the education at Stanford and wanting to just kind of get away from Nebraska, try something new.
Interesting about Carol Frost, she remains involved in sports in football. There's Larry Frost and Carol. Larry Frost is the head coach at the high school which Scott Frost attended in Wood River, Nebraska. And Carol Frost is an assistant coach. She coaches the wide receivers and the defensive ends. And the other day, when most of the mothers of the Nebraska players went to the Seaquarium here in Miami, Mrs. Frost said she'd rather stay in the hotel and watch the NFL playoff games. And that's what she did. Frost on the carry, close to a first down at the 28. Deion Grant made the tackle.
Well, you can see Scott Frost, when he has the ball in his hands, he's following Amon Green, the tailback here. This is a design keep. Amon Green blocks the linebacker, and there's a hole in the defense for Frost. And he's like having another tailback in the backfield. You're talking about a guy that weighs 220 pounds. He's strong, tough. He's got it all, except he's not a great thrower.
Has an awkward motion, which undoubtedly Bill Walsh would like to have worked with had Scott stayed there, and had Bill Walsh stayed at Stanford for that matter. But he is effective despite the throwing motion.
No question. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards, mostly with play action type passing.
He's going to play in a couple of the postseason senior all-star games, and while he would like to play some quarterback to prove that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, he realizes that he probably should play defense, because if he has a future in the NFL, and many think he does, it is as a defensive back.
He reminds me of Nolan Cromwell, the great option quarterback from Kansas, who had a wonderful pro career. That's who he looks like.
On 4th and 1, Frost, the pitch to Green, and it's a loose ball. Leonard Little ran by it. Now it's picked up, and you cannot advance that pitch. But Darwin Walker recovered, and didn't really matter because it was 4th down anyway. Tennessee was going to get the ball, and they have it at about the 32.
Terry Fair, number 13, the defensive back from Tennessee, does a great job. He makes the quarterback pitch this ball. He stretches it, then all of a sudden the ball's pitched. The lead back, Amon Green, had gotten ahead of him a little bit, and Frost didn't get it done.
And the coaches, Frost, upset about an opportunity gone awry. Nebraska takes over. 9:14 remaining. Manning's pass incomplete. Here's Ed Cunningham, the Hall of Famer, better known these days as Peyton's dad.
We're here with Archie Manning. Archie, I know it's not how you wanted it to turn out, but can you talk about the emotions you're feeling right now?
Well, you know, I hate to see them lose. Nebraska's a great team and all, but in a way, I hate to see it come to an end for Peyton and all his buddies that are seniors, because it's been a great ride for them. I'm sure they'd like for tonight to be better, but this is a great team, and it's been a great experience for them. It's been a great experience for the Manning family. We've had a wonderful time.
Take a short break for the play.
And as a light rain begins to fall, Manning's pass to Lewis, and Jamal thrown for loss back to Ed.
As a parent, he made a huge decision last year to turn down a lot of money and come back. What was it like as a parent to see him make that decision?
Well, we were proud of him. It had to be his decision, and we were going to support him if he'd have come out. But in his heart, it's what he wanted to do, and we were proud the way he did all the research and his due diligence, and that's what he wanted to do. I think it said a lot. I think it had an impact on some others, and you know, I'm glad it worked out for him. I'm glad he was able to stay healthy this year, and they won a championship. And I'm glad he stayed. He is too. We're proud of him.
Archie, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the ball game.
Pass incomplete. Here comes the punting unit. Well, believe it or not, there is another Manning coming along. Peyton's younger brother Eli is a high school quarterback, a junior in New Orleans. Some say at that stage of his development, he's better as a junior in high school than Peyton Manning was, and if that's the case, it's a frightening prospect. But Eli already very highly recruited.
No question about that, Sean. But if he is, he's something special, and I'm sure he is. But Peyton Manning, he represents everything you like about college football. Everything. I can't imagine having a more complete player and person than this guy is.
You can't carry yourself as a college athlete with any more class or dignity, grace than Peyton Manning has. 39-yard punt. Back in a moment.
More fourth quarter action when we return. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest game.
Time of the game summary. All of a sudden, Nebraska has 327 rushing yards. They had 69 at the half. That's still their lowest total of the season. With 8 more, they'll match their lowest total. And Amon Green has a chance at the Orange Bowl record for rushing yards in a game. 205 is the record. They give it to Amon Green. And he's to the 35 for a gain of 1. Newcomb takes the pitch. He can fly. He's still flying. Flag down to the secondary. Newcomb inside the 25 and down to the 16. An important flag, perhaps, for Nebraska and for Michigan, because you wonder, Terry, as people look at comparative scores, if 35-9 isn't enough to sway some, would 42-9 be enough to sway some? And I think that's why the Frost family, for example, was so agitated in their reaction to that failed 4th down. They know every point could be crucial.
No question about it. That turnover that Scott Frost had on that option play, now this big play called back again, it probably will influence some voters one way or another. Eric Anderson, number 70, the big right tackle, he hustles down the field after trying to make his block, and on the pitch play, Bobby Newcomb comes down the sideline, and Anderson, right in the back there, pushing in the back, gets called and brings that play back.
Good call.
It was a good call. They saw it right.
They've done a very good job tonight, these officials from the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Eric Anderson, number 7 on Deion Grant, the defensive back for Tennessee. And it's the officials right there on the spot. You hate to bring a play back like that, but that's what happens.
Walked off from the spot at 2nd down and 6. Huskers at their own 38. Frost, the pitch to Green, running room in the corner. He's into Tennessee territory, down at the 47-yard line.
You know what's interesting too, Sean? The Nebraska offense, you could only run this style of offense in certain atmospheres. There's a lot of places around the country you can't run this offense. The fans don't like it. It's not wide open enough in some people's mind because it's so run-oriented and people want to throw the ball. But this offense is perfect for Lincoln, Nebraska. They love it. All they do is win, set a 5-year record for the best record in the history of college football with it.
Makovica dancing through traffic. Look at Frost hustling downfield to throw a block. Torrey Noel made the tackle with a 37, 1st down, Nebraska.
The physicalness of the Nebraska offense has just worn Tennessee down in the 2nd half. Tennessee played tremendous defense in the 1st half, but now that powerful offensive line and that relentless attack by the Big Red is just wearing them down, and they've had a lot of injuries as well on defense. A lot of players have left the game.
Jay Sims back in at I-back. Here he goes. Almost went the distance. Deion Grant made the tackle. 14 for Sims. He is the I-back. Amon Green is 1 yard short of the Orange Bowl rushing record with 204 yards tonight.
Well, I think it's safe to say if Amon Green gets back into the game, he'll get that Orange Bowl record the way these holes are beginning to really open up against the Tennessee defense.
The true freshman, Burrell Buckhalter, is in it. I-back now. And Frost might be changing the play. 5 on the play clock. Here's Buckhalter. Fresh legs driving down inside the 15-yard line. Unprecedented run of success for this senior class, the recruiting class of 1993 for Nebraska. The 48-2 record, the best ever. 2 national titles, perhaps a third. 3 conference titles and a perfect record at home. Other than that, they didn't do much.
Sean, the offense is overpowering. It might be easier to stop the Big Red Army of China than the Big Red Army of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Green needs a yard to tie the record. That looks like a gain of 2. Jonathan Brown made the stop. That is a 2-yard gain officially for Green, and he now has the Orange Bowl record for rushing yards in a game, 206 on 29 carries, breaking the mark set by Roland Sales of Arkansas against Oklahoma in the 1978 Orange Bowl. Makovica inside the 10, fumble, and it's still free. And you wonder, not to overly dramatize the point, if that could be a national championship saving recovery for the Cornhuskers. If every point matters and votes are being swayed based on comparative scores and the like, then this is big.
You watch the power and the precision of the Nebraska offense, and it's unmatched in the country. No one has an offensive team as powerful as this one. They just don't. Michigan certainly has a top-ranked defense, the best defense in the country.
Frost scores another touchdown. His 3rd of the night.
Scott Frost certainly has stepped it up a notch here in the second half. It's the fake to the fullback, follow the tailback. It's a design keeper. They've run it about 8 times tonight. That's what Scott Frost has responded with in the second half.
Chris Brown added the extra point. 42-9 Nebraska.
When we return, the celebration begins in South Florida. You are watching the Big Ten's greatest games.
Good kick with the wind. Wilson, it's a touchback. And it looks like Peyton Manning's career at Tennessee is over, as T. Martin has a helmet on. He's ready to run onto the field.
Well, I think this is certainly understandable. Peyton Manning has done absolutely everything he could in his power for the University of Tennessee. This is a good opportunity for T. Martin. Also, you make sure Peyton Manning comes out of this game healthy. I think this is the right decision.
Why not give Manning one more play and let him run off to an ovation that he has deserved?
Well, either way, but not a lot of Tennessee fans left here, John.
Handoff up the middle. Travis Stevens, a true freshman, taking the handoff. Manning ends his career holding every passing record at the University of Tennessee. The SEC Player of the Year this year. And he ranks #1 all time in the SEC in completion percentage and completions, and in lowest interception ratio.
And you know he hates ending his career like this. He's such a fierce competitor.
Martin over the middle to Sean Bryson. Well, the point was made at the top of the telecast. He might have cost himself some money because he didn't come out last year. I think he could care less about that. He's going to make more money in all likelihood than he'll ever need.
That's right.
And he came back because he wanted to be a senior in college and experience the entirety of what that entails as a student and as an athlete.
You know, Sean, you're right. He came back for all the right reasons. Things didn't work out exactly probably as he would have wished, but that's life, and you learn something there too. That's all part of the experience, and he talked about the experience. That's why he came back. He wanted to continue with his college education and with that experience.
Let's turn our attention to the larger issue now. Who is number one? The best team in the nation. This situation again cries out for a playoff because it's obviously difficult to choose either team. Whichever team is not the national championship is going to feel that it is shortchanged with good reason. But here's the statistical comparison. Our crew, I don't think, was overly generous in awarding Nebraska a victory in this game. Nice throw by Martin. And Andy McCullough's running free in the secondary. You know, much was made that Michigan played the tougher schedule, but I think as we look at the bowl game results, Terry, the Big Ten might have been exposed for not being as strong as people said it was all season long. The Big Ten really struggled in bowl games, 2 and 5, including Michigan's victory. And their out-of-conference games, Baylor and Notre Dame and Colorado. Beginning of the year, that looks tough, but Notre Dame had a disappointing year. Colorado had a very disappointing year. Baylor was not a very good team. Where Nebraska out of the league went out and played a very good Washington team in Seattle, as you know, one of the toughest places in the nation to play, and won easily.
Well, I think if you're one of the AP 70 writers who are going to vote on this decision, or one of the 62 coaches who vote in the coaches poll, you've got to really sit down and think about this, because it would be a, you know, in many ways to me a tragedy if Brian Griese and Charles Woodson, you know, you look at Griese, the road of a walk-on to MVP in the Rose Bowl, Woodson, the Heisman Trophy winner, if they don't get a share of the national championship, there's something wrong. They did everything they were asked to do. But at the same time, Scott Frost and Joel Makovecka and those guys, they did everything they were asked to do.
Yes, they did. Martin lost his helmet, and he is sacked, and there is a flag thrown in the secondary. There's the second sack of a Tennessee quarterback tonight. 2:04 remaining. Nebraska leads 42-9. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. Could also be Amon Green's last game. He told us the other day he's not certain he'll come back for his senior year. Penalty against Nebraska. Well, I think if these two teams play, Michigan and Nebraska, Nebraska would be the favorite. Remember, we listened to a radio program here in South Florida today, and who cares what the odds makers say, but they called out, and the odds maker said Nebraska would be the favorite in the game by about a touchdown. That doesn't matter. But I think both teams are great on defense. You have to say Nebraska has an edge on offense.
Well, that might be, but Sean, I have my own personal beliefs, and I really think that the national championship should be shared by these two teams. That's just what I believe. I remember in '90, Colorado, Georgia Tech, they shared it.
I agree with you, by the way.
91.
I'm just saying,
I know you
for
do.
those who awarded the thing to Michigan after they won yesterday, that really shortchanges this Nebraska team.
That's just
and,
not.
I agree with you. They both deserve it. One, if it isn't a split, somebody is going to be deservedly very upset.
I remember in '91, Miami, Washington. I had a vote in the coaches poll in '90 and '91, and I voted both teams in the first place. And you know, I just think you better weigh it, because, boy, a national championship is such a special thing to players and coaches. It means so much.
T. Martin can really run. He's inside the 5 with 1:02 remaining, an 11-yard gain. Well, it's up to the voters now. Each team stated its case over the last 2 days. And unfortunately, that Super Alliance, which comes in next year, may not solve the problem. This year, you could have had 3 undefeated teams, all with a great claim for #1 if Florida State had won at Florida. Then what do you do in your Super Alliance? You got a game with 2 teams, 3 who could make a claim. First and goal from the 3. T. Martin into the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee. Andy McCullough. Well, the heir apparent to Peyton Manning drives the Volunteers down the field, and final act for Grant Wistrom and Jason Peter at Nebraska, it seems, will be to give Tom Osborne a bath.
Well, you got to be impressed with T. Martin coming in off the bench. He took that team right on down to the score and throws across his body there and finds an open receiver in the end zone.
Well, they're all set.
I'm telling you, that is cold when you get that little shower there, but you love every second of it.
Now the try for two. Martin was 4 for 4 on that drive. He swings it out, and there's the two-point conversion for Travis Stevens, the true freshman from Clarksville, Tennessee. 42-17, Nebraska. Looks like they're trying to give him some sort of a championship cap, and Tom said, that's okay, I like the one I have on. You wouldn't expect him to change. So little has changed about the man and his program over the last 36 years. And they still run the same offense and defenses that Bob Devaney put in with help from Tom Osborne. They have the same numbering system. I mean, as if nothing has changed in that 36-year span. The one thing that certainly has not changed is winning. They've had 36 straight winning seasons.
Well, I look at Tom Osborne, 25 years head coach, 25 straight bowls. I mean, it's incredible the job that he has done.
As college football fans well know, he's not an emotional man, but you sense looking at the face that the emotions are now stirring, the realization that in 58 seconds he'll walk off the sideline for the last time. And Nebraska will be the land of Oz no longer. Onside kick recovered, but he was out of bounds, it seemed, from here. Yep, flag comes out. Danny McCullough fielded it, but he was on the Nebraska sideline. Wistrom and Peter inching closer.
Kicking team. Penalties decline. First down.
And the legacy of Tom Osborne.
Here we go.
There, ooh. Another bad added to that legacy. And a hug from Jason Peter. And you can say what you want about the decisions he's made relative to some players over the years, but by and large, the vast majority of Nebraska players have been outstanding in the classroom, outstanding in the community. They have had some problems off the field. Some have questioned Osborne's decisions in that realm, but you can't deny that he does care unbelievably about his players, and they return that affection.
No question about it. And there's not a program in America that hasn't had some form of problems. Nebraska isn't any different than anybody else when it comes to that.
Clearly one of the great coaches of all time. And he's 20 seconds away from the career-ending victory. Only fitting that it would end with a victory and perhaps a national championship for Tom Osborne. He leaves us with 255 wins. And not a happy ending for Peyton Manning as he heads toward the NFL. Tom Osborne heads for a fishing pole.
I had made a promise that I would leave at a certain time, and the time was up in '97, and so sometimes those deadlines, those promises aren't kept, but I thought I should. And so often it's difficult to know when to leave, and particularly when things are going well. There's always a temptation to go one more year, 2 more years. And then when things aren't going well, there's always a temptation to stay on until they do get better. And so sometimes you get trapped into, staying on beyond your time.
He was here for 25 years and won over 250 games. That's hard to say. I mean, any coach can do that. I think Joe Paterno just got over, 400 for 440 some years. And so, I mean, that says a lot about him. What if Coach Osborne still have been coaching? You never know.
The Cornhuskers' convincing 42-17 victory catapulted the Cornhuskers to the #1 spot in the final coaches poll, earning them a share of their 3rd national title in a 4-year span. The win marked Tom Osborne's final game on the gridiron, but he was far from retired. Osborne was elected as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives in 2000, where he served Nebraska's 3rd district for 6 years, before returning to Lincoln to serve as the athletic director for the University of Nebraska. The famed Cornhusker coach was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1999. Thanks for watching the Big Ten's Greatest Games.